Greetings everyone, hey, how you doing? It's Matt Sella, and I do apologize for this long-awaited video. I was away from my studio. I tried to bring some gear with me to get ahead of this episode, but unfortunately, technology happens. But don't you worry folks, we read some of your comments and we figured we'll do a quick recap of the latest episode. But overall, Mark and I, we're going to give our opinions on the Season 2 second half in particular of what we thought of, what we enjoyed, and what we would like to see in Season 3 coming forth.
Ooh boy.
That's right, Mark. Which, by the way, we tried to sync up at one point. I ended up in space. I came back properly in the proper setting of the proper. However, properly unpopularly, Mark ended up on a little island communicating through us through a melon in the shape of a radio. How you doing out there, Mark?
Well, Matt, I tell you, down here in the tropic isles, it is crazy. Drinking salt water, eating sand sandwiches, good times for all.
Wow, that was beautiful, man. But luckily, he's here in some way or capacity to give our opinions on everything. But before we get started, folks, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you enjoy content like this. Leave a like, do whatever it is you have to do to support me. And I say, let's get straight to it. Oh, but before I let you speak up, Mark, but I often forget this. This is a spoiler talk for the DuckTales Season 2, as well as the season finale, the two-parter season finale, Moonvasion. So you have been warned. Spoilers will be ahead.
But before we get started, Matt, I'm going to talk to you through this magic conch shell as opposed to this watermelon radio.
That sounds way more convenient. Let's move forward. Y'all ready? Here we go. So to get things started, let's talk about Moonvasion real quickly, Mark.
Let's do it.
So the synopsis is, and it's very simple, I'm pulling this up on the Disney Wiki right now, the moon invades Duckburg, forcing Scrooge to join forces with an unlikely ally in an effort to save Earth. Meanwhile, Della and the kids search the globe for reinforcements, but Della has something else in mind. Ooh.
Or are they?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I already said. But yeah, that is the general synopsis of Moonvasion. Moonvasion. I keep saying Moon Invasion, but that's not right. Mark, won't you give me some of your personal impressions of Moonvasion episode, the two-parter, if you will? What you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. We're going to try to keep this brief because we want to talk about the rest of the season and what we'd like to see in Season 3. So go on ahead. You have the floor.
Well, Matt, we talked about this when we had watched the episode at our different locations, of course, that a very action-packed and a lot more intense episode than I think we thought, though maybe not as intense as it could have been. But I think the real standout for me here was some of the humor. I recall one part where Duckworth, basically says all is lost and he'll make preparations for them in the afterlife and heads downward, and Mrs. Beakley just goes, not reassuring, he went down instead of up. And that just had me in stitches. Not to mention Scrooge's particular unlikely ally continues to be a riot, and even more crazy than possibly ever before.
Absolutely.
But also, just a heads up for everyone, this is probably the closest we're ever going to get to Mickey Mouse being in this stupid show.
Oh, yeah. Because what was it? Either someone in the comments or you told me that apparently they didn't have the rights or something?
Yeah, apparently they don't. And for some reason, who knows, maybe the reactions from this episode will, let Disney, they'll get the rights maybe, but they'll get leverage. But yeah, apparently, I don't know, Disney's also really finicky about, if Mickey, I don't think, is the headliner, he's not in it, which is stupid because that's not how it's been in the comics, which these are based off of. But actually, this maybe jumping a gun a little bit, this has me a little bit concerned for it was announced in Comic-Con, so it's no longer a spoiler, I feel, for when the Tailspin characters show up, because if they don't have the rights for Mickey, I wonder if just because characters like Baloo and Shere Khan are technically from the Disney feature side of the company, I wonder if the DuckTales team only has the rights to use the Tailspin original characters, or if they're just keeping that under wraps for right now. The legal side has started to rear its head, which I think is interesting.
I'm kind of hoping it's the latter, but you might be right. I don't quite understand this. I mean, it's all within the US IP thing, but the Mickey thing, I guess I kind of get it, but at the same time, you're just kind of letting the cake sit there in a cage and not being used at all, kind of becomes worthless. I'm not saying Mickey is worthless. I'm saying aside from your Disney parks, you don't really utilize his image much at all.
Which is crazy because they had that whole thing back with the Epic Mickey series where it seemed like they were really trying to, have the character be more than a corporate icon.
Yeah, well, I think at this point right now, they're just they got cold feet or something. I don't know. But that's a discussion in its own.
Oh, we should make a point in saying that the Mickey Mouse cameo in this case was a watermelon a la Tom Hanks's Castaway, and Donald has gone crazy.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Oh, but a bit of a shout out, voiced by Chris Diamantopoulos, who is the voice of Mickey in the current Mickey Mouse shorts, the stylized ones you people might be familiar with, but also in this show, the current voice of Darkwing Duck and Storkules. So quite a resume there.
That is amazing.
But Matt, your thoughts?
Well, I totally agree with you in terms of the humor. Like, I thought it was really great. And like I said, with spoilers already established here, we're talking about, of course, Glomgold near the end that Scrooge McDuck had to team up with. And the whole aspect of, like, Glomgold, I suppose he has some intelligence behind him, absolutely. When he was trying to have, like, Scrooge admit something. Not only put him in a Santa Claus outfit, but, like kind of trick him, but also trick the enemy at the same time.
In a twisted way, this may have been his most brilliant scheme yet.
To jump to the overall story, though, General Linares, looking back at season 2, I kind of wish we got a little bit more of him to really, like, establish how truly intelligent and prepared he is, because he really was a threat in this episode. Like, he was always, like, a step ahead of Scrooge. He knew exactly what he was kind of doing. No, he knew exactly what he was doing to divide and conquer Earth from Scrooge McDuck. I don't know. I feel like I wish I got a little bit more of his backstory, or more of, like, meanwhile, this is what he's doing or what he's thinking. Something like that. I will say one thing, though. Like, I think you and I, we discussed this prior, is that these Moonlander guys, or whatever they're called, they are not as, like, war ready at all. Like, I remember I was telling you, like, there was a lot of foot soldiers running around Duckburg, which in my mind, I was like, okay, if you guys are invading, you probably want to stick in ships and do all that. And in some areas, I kind of had trouble believing that they could take over Duckburg easily. Not General Linares. He was clearly battle ready.
Yeah, the Moonlanders clearly weren't, though.
Which is why I thought to myself that I kind of had trouble believing that, okay, yeah, Duckburg and all the other heroes were easily taken over by them. If they were all, like, as battle ready as, like, Linares was, I could believe it. But that didn't bother me too much. It was for the sake of the plot.
Yeah, in some ways it was.
And the other thing that kind of bothered me, but was kind of a cool moment in the end anyway, was I really felt like they really, really underutilized Penumbra in this episode.
Yeah, she kind of comes out of nowhere, and I kind of just had assumed that she had been locked away for treason or something up until she finally showed up in, like, quite honestly, the last 5 minutes of the episode almost.
No, she did. I mean, it was very much one of those, what you call them?
Deus ex Penumbra.
Deus ex Penumbra. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. But yeah, it's I wish we caught, like, a little more cuts of her, like, where she was. Like, maybe you were right. She was in a cell and maybe she found a way to escape, or she was able to convince a couple Moonlanders still on the moon to let her out or something. Just a little bit of, like, that seed to take us to the moment where she helped save everybody. And also, when that moment happened, I actually thought she, like, Independence Day sacrificed herself.
I was waiting for her to die. Terrible as it might be.
Yeah, I was like, damn, that's a noble act. But she's fine. And she has hair for some reason, so okay.
And Launchpad is totally indoor.
Well, I mean, like, you gotta remember, in a previous episode, not in this second half of the season, he was really getting around, especially at that Atlantis place, remember?
Oh, yeah. Oceana.
Yes, I remember that.
That was in like the Hong Kong episode where they fight the Toad guy.
No, there was also a moment where they visit the uncle in the lab, and Launchpad went to Atlantis with, like, the orca or something.
Was that the same? That might have been a continuation of that.
I think so, but it was still kind of funny. Anyway, the episode I thought was really action heavy. A lot more action than I expected, which is a good thing in my book. The humor was pretty good. I had a few laughs there. It was really interesting too, especially when like the nephews were having their skills utilized. Each one had their strength. And I like the fact that Della was really trying to accept Louie's ability to see every angle. But what was really interesting about his character arc is I personally believe that Louie knew exactly what Della was trying to do by diverting them away from finding reinforcements and instead find shelter for them. And I think he knew, but he was really trying not to accept that angle. I mean, maybe that's a stretch. Maybe he didn't see it right away, but we've followed Louis for like 2 seasons now. I'm pretty sure he knew what Della was doing. He was just trying to deny that that would be the case. And so when that finally happened, he kind of had that moment where it's like, oh, well, I guess that really was her intention or something. I don't know. Maybe I was just trying to fill in the blanks, but I found that part to be very interesting to me.
Also, R.I.P. Gyro Gear Loose or Gyro Gear Loose's clones. We're not sure which ones died.
That was really dark, man, because when he got like shot, he just evaporated, and you think, okay, that was just a clone. That may have been me, but still, whatever. And I thought to myself, well, a clone is an organic living being, and we just saw them get disintegrated and turn to dust. That is death.
Yeah, technically.
That is death right there, man. But overall, I think it was a very entertaining episode. I kind of wish the other villains showed up because...
Or at least we saw how they were fighting them off, like if the just see the Beagles in the junkyard and stuff or whatever.
But I mean, this episode was already a full cast as it is. I mean, we got Tom Kenny returning as Feathery Duck.
And the giant shrimp Mitzi.
And we also got Mr. Peanut Butter returning as Gladstone Gander.
Whose luck saved the day in a very fun way, I think.
I'm totally okay with that. But yeah, like I said, it's a very packed cast. It is 2 episodes, which makes sense.
So packed that we have a post-credit, not post-credit, but at least an end scene stinger with a certain evil organization.
Let's talk about that real quick before we move on. I actually kind of had a weird, delightful smile on my face when I recognized the Metal Beak guy. Because I don't think he showed up in the previous episodes.
No, he has not shown up. We have the return of Rocker Duck, who seems to be like frozen in some sort of thing since he was from the cowboy times. We have the Black Heron, I believe was her name. The one with the robot arm from the Gummy Bears episode. And interesting enough, we have the Phantom Blot coming into this one, who's been actually here the whole time as that, Fun Zone mascot character. Which is really creepy because that means he's been, watching the kids as well as, technically Magica at that point.
That's very true. Yeah, so we got a bit of that in Foul, and it was actually kind of interesting and a little sad for the stereotype that the Vultures looked like they were part of the Foul company the whole time.
It looks like they're running this stuff.
And I had to ask you originally, like, oh, right, what was the Fowl's deal again? And you showed me some old photos of them in the TV show. So I was like, yes, right. And they came up before. And it was season 2 they came up, right? With the Gummy Bear one?
Was that season 2 or season 1? Hold on, let me check.
I don't remember, but they were brought up before in this series. We know that. But to see them kind of like finally take a presence in this universe. Or again.
Oh, technically, I think that was season 1.
So yeah, there you go. They had it all the way back till season 1. So I think there's a lot more that's going to happen. A lot more fun's going to be had for sure. Overall, I think this was a pretty solid and fun action-packed season finale. And to get this quickly out of the way, I think the animation was on par or maybe above overall. I had very little animation issues here.
No, I mean, the series continues to show its mark of quality, and I appreciate that. And it just really keeps me excited for more seasons to come.
And I really hope season 3 will continue that quality and maybe put in a couple more things in there.
Yeah.
Because what's funny is when we got to the space battle parts or where we had the ships like turning the planet around or all that, I instantly thought of Futurama and Invader Zim because I remember looking behind the scenes videos and interviews that when it comes to these TV shows, putting in 3D elements into a 2D animated product tends to be on the expensive side. And I believe the director or the creator of Invader Zim, he said himself, it was like one of the most expensive TV shows to produce on Nickelodeon at the time because there was so many 3D elements. Now, granted, nowhere near as many in DuckTales as it is in Invader Zim, but still, I think that's money well spent.
Oh, yeah. And it's not, sometimes you get when you have CG elements in a 2D animated film, it can be very jarring and very noticeably out of place. You'll still notice it, but I wouldn't say it was as intrusive.
I don't think so, especially if it's vehicles. I think it's more forgiving.
Yeah.
And especially if it's a toon shader, then you should be fine. But that will do it for our section of the Moonvasion quick review, which is actually probably a normal amount of time because we spent a lot of time talking about it. But let's move on to the other meat of the story, Season 2, and what we thought about it overall. And I think in particular, we're going to be talking about the second half of the Season 2.
Starting with episode 17 for Season 2, Whatever Happened to Donald Duck.
We'll be going from there. And moving on forward, thinking about it, it's like, I think the season was actually pretty solid. Like, I had very little complaints overall. And a lot of my favorite moments, surprisingly, I think had to do much with Glomgold. Because if I remember correctly, like, at the beginning of Season 1, or maybe even Season 2, we were kind of saying that maybe Glomgold was a little too ever-present in the series. I felt like they kept playing that card over and over again, and kind of like doing the same gags with him at the beginning. But as this part of the season went on, I kind of felt like they found a way to they really mitigated his presence and utilized him in the best way possible in each episode he appeared in. So he didn't come across as overly annoying, but actually played an integral part of like whatever story is happening. And they really polished his sense of humor, or at least how to make him funny. So I think they really evolved in that area.
I also think just in Season 2 as a whole, in comparison to Season 1, and, the first season is always, the rockiest, because that's where you have to really get your footing. There weren't as many episodes in Season 2 that I felt were kind of... every episode really seemed to have a purpose almost, even if it wasn't as big. Like, there were some episodes of Season 1 where I think we were kind of like, it was a fine episode, but really didn't leave us much to talk about. But I feel like this one always had something up its sleeve. There was always something driving the overall plot forward, even in the smallest ways.
Nah, I completely agree with you there. I definitely think that these episodes seem to be getting better well written as it goes on, and it was already pretty well written.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know we're jumping back more into the earlier parts of Season 2, I think, but there definitely were a lot of emotional moments throughout the series. But yeah, with the moments where Della Duck finally reunites with her kids, and everyone finally figures out what the Spear of Selene was all about. Like, there were a lot of good, tender moments there. I know technically we're going further back than that, but to kind of continue off of this season, what it means for Della to be a parent. Like, we had a lot of moments like that, didn't we?
Yeah, and I really appreciated that. She had stuff to learn as a parent. She has not been a parent this whole time, and now she has kids that are not, they've already, got their life, and she hasn't been a part of it. In fact, actually, as far as emotional moments go, I really appreciated her just, as brief as it was for them, quiet moment she had with Donald finally on the island.
So yeah, like it's as Mark described, there were a lot of emotional family moments littered throughout the season, and I think they did a good job at conveying a lot of that. So while we're talking about Season 2, I kind of want to pull up a couple of comments that people left on the reviews, sharing their personal thoughts, questions, or whatever and all that. And since we're kind of talking about Della, and especially what I liked is her arc trying to teach Louis how to utilize his skills without calling them schemes or something. In our review for Time Foon, Claude Coringa said, Louis is slowly starting to act like Glomgold. And I remember in our review, we slowly talked about that, saying like, yeah, he kind of is. And then in the following episode, he did just that. Like, he turned sort of evil for a quick moment. So Claude called it.
Yeah, bravo to you, Claude. Great minds think alike.
And I often wonder, with Season 3 coming around, are we going to still play around with some of those ideas? Because for a while, Louis did say like he would be the evil twin, but he kind of downplayed it when Della tried to connect with him. So I don't know if we're ever going to revisit that or not.
Well, I've kind of now especially taken it as, the whole him as the evil twin thing. That's really just kind of, I don't know, I feel like that's a role he feels like he has to have. That's not really him. And we've seen that a little bit, I think,
Absolutely, for sure. And going back to episode 17, Whatever Happened to Donald Duck, I believe you specifically were mentioning about like shooting out of the cannon to get to Earth, or if it was vice versa. The person I was thinking of was clarified by Trick Question 149 saying, yes, you were thinking of From the Earth to the Moon, a film adaptation of Jules Verne's science fiction novel of the same name.
We're people of culture on this show.
Absolutely. Plus, I really enjoyed Hugo. That was a good movie.
Oh yeah, there's a movie I wouldn't mind seeing again.
But kind of going off of that, it's like, yeah, we talked about before, and other YouTubers have talked about before, the writers of the show, as well as the art directors, really love to put in little Easter eggs and nod to like other forms of entertainment. So the fact that they did all that for like Jules Verne, it's really cool to see continuous nods to that stuff.
Also from, I apologize, Ville or Vile Tantu. The Bombi character is actually from the original Carl Barks comics from a comic called Voodoo Hoodoo from 1949. So a very obscure character, even though I still stand by his redesign looks like it was inspired by Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, no, that's a good call out.
But also good on you, Tantu, for that research. But also we got one more here from Coringa, who, has been a big proponent of, could we see Murloc come into this series from of course, the DuckTales movie and the Donald Duck video game, Donald Going Quackers.
I think if we're getting like a whole bunch of references from like other comics and series like that, I definitely think Murloc has a really good chance to make an appearance.
Ooh, I have a theory. I'm gonna drop a theory on you. Now we've dropped the Tailspin Shere Khan versus Scrooge McDuck theory. Which, if we have Fowl now, what if Fowl is trying to recruit Shere Khan, and at the end he maybe doesn't side with them, but then launches a rivalry against Scrooge McDuck? But that's not my theory. Matt. What if Magica seeks out Murloc to get her powers back? That could be a real big, after Fowl villain, if we think about it, since he was the villain for the movie. And please let Christopher Lloyd voice him. Please let Christopher Lloyd voice him.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Christopher Lloyd's not retired, right? Like, he can still do voice work, right?
He can still do voice work. He still does Doc Brown every now and again.
Nice. By the way, I'm not saying this is the alternative casting, but because I don't know anything about Murloc, but how weird would it be, since Disney and this guy are kind of really tight right now, especially since he's getting his own show on Disney Plus, from what I heard, if they couldn't get Christopher Lloyd to voice Murloc, and I know this is a coin toss, people, I actually don't know who Murloc looks like, but what if they got Murloc's voice actor to be Jeff Goldblum?
That'd be a big departure, but I'd be interested.
I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm just saying, like, I'd like to see Jeff Goldblum in a DuckTales. So just being weird.
Studios, find a way.
Find a way. Yes. You want your magic back? Okay. Here's how we're gonna do it.
Hand me my zappy stick. Oh, you had it set to puddle.
Oh no, that's not good. I made a mess. Made a terrible mess. Terrible.
All right, everyone. It takes two halves to have a revolution. And good job. And yay us. Those were all terrible, Jeff Goldblum.
We could go on forever with that. But I totally agree with you, though. Like, I would love to see Christopher Lloyd come back, or like voice more roles in something like this. I mean, heck, I've said before, we have a really strong voice cast in this series already. I'd like to see more.
Oh yeah, sky's the limit.
Here's another random comment from the Glomgold episode by Joey Margolian.
Margolian Figaro.
This was like the equivalence to the episode Losers of the Fairly Odd Parents, and Glomtails right here is truly my personal favorite, just to see all my favorite baddies come together.
Yeah, we always love a good episode where the baddies come together, because let's be honest, the villains are oftentimes the best part of any story.
It's actually kind of funny you say that too, Mark and Joey, because like I remember looking back on it, the Justice League cartoon show, some of my favorite moments is like when Lex Luthor gathered all those different villains to kind of help him, like, take down Superman and to help him find a cure for his disease or something.
I remember those episodes.
And I remember like at the end of it, like they failed to do their thing to like steal something. And they were like, we need a new plan. And then up on the balcony, like a bag falls or something. I don't remember. And then you see Mark Hamill's Joker appear.
Oh no, I remember. I remember it going. I believe it's Gorilla Grodd. It was Gorilla Grodd or Salman Grande has Lex Luthor by the collar and just calls him crazy. And Joker walks in and just, what's wrong with crazy? It's done wonders for me.
Yes, I remember that. So yeah, no, absolutely, Joey. I love moments in cartoon shows where, like, after a while, we get a gallery.
You think we can get Mark Hamill in on this show?
Oh, dude, I would love that. Who would he play?
Well, I think Quackerjack's already got his. Megavolt has his original voice actor from the TV. Oh, what if he plays the? What if he? Oh, well, currently the Darkwing Duck villains are just TV show characters.
Yes, they
But
are.
what we had a theory a while back. I don't have the comment for that highlighted, but one person said, "What if Negaduck, starts making those villains real? What if he voices the real, in quote unquote, real incarnation of Quackerjack?"
That's something. And one other thing I was going to throw at you, Mark, like we've had a lot of characters that have been callbacks to the original series.
What if he voices the Phantom Blot?
Oh, well, there you go. That totally would probably solve that then. Plus, the thing is with Mark Hamill is like he really likes to play around with his voice and like do all kinds of like crazy sounds sometimes. Like he was like in the most recent thing I saw him in or heard him in was the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, where he played the scientist.
Mm-hmm. Crushed it.
He did crush it. I mean, like you were half expecting him to sound like the Joker, but he definitely put in like an interesting shrivel and snarkiness or like urgency into his Skeksis character. By the way, this one's a semi-spoiler for Samurai Jack, even though I think most people have seen it and I have not. But Heronor says, I really hope Lena doesn't get Samurai Jacked. Now that might sound ambiguous enough. However, for me personally, who has not seen Samurai Jack, I believe there was like a female character or something who was supposed to be like the daughter of Aku, befriends Samurai Jack, but then I think she turns evil later.
She kind of gets corrupted by Aku, but then, the whole time travel thing, Jack goes back in time, kills Aku from his time. That Aku no longer exists, so therefore can't make her, so then she disappears from existence.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know any of that, but I'm okay with that because, my God, Samurai Jack Season 4 or whatever has been around for like, 2 years now, and I've not seen a single episode yet.
I'm really surprised you haven't.
I just don't have the means or the ability to find out where it is. So that's all on me. But to go on to what this guy's comment is, I don't think Lena's going to share that fate.
You're more optimistic than me.
You think she will turn evil?
I think it's quite honestly a good punch to the gut.
That's true. But I mean, like, the problem is that we've kind of gone down that road, I think, maybe once or twice already with her. Because, like, that nightmare scene where she was afraid of becoming Magica, she was already having those self-doubts saying, like, oh, because of where she came from, her end will always be evil or whatever. And I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical that they'll keep going back to that well. And if what your theory said about Murloc is correct, then that would make acquiring Lena's ability redundant if Magica was able to like create a new source of magic all on her own and not have to worry about the consciousness of something else possibly breaking that away again. That is why I personally do not believe Lena will be going down that route.
That's fair.
But like I said, anything could happen. And to kind of wrap things up on the season 2 thing, let's go straight into our season 3 predictions. And I kind of still stand where I stand on wanting Shere Khan to be another business rival type to Scrooge McDuck and also kind of open the door more for a Tailspin, quote unquote, reboot or continuation in this universe. However, what you told me before about Mickey Mouse, and you said that was mostly just theory regarding the other film-based characters.
Yeah, it was just sort of, if this equals this, then does this equal that sort of thing.
And that's the tricky thing about the rights with Disney and why I don't get it sometimes because they own everything. But that remains to be something I desire. I want Shere Khan to be a contrast business owner to Glomgold and Scrooge McDuck to kind of like play around with like the different types of executives that run the world. And my question is like, because I remember what I said in previous episodes or discussion videos that I've done about this. Like, I don't want Shere Khan to be like a straight up villain per se, but definitely like a bad guy with class where if he knows he is defeated or if he knows going down a certain path because a bad guy has to do that might be too much work, he'll concede and just allow certain things to happen. Because I remember I was looking up clips of the original Shere Khan from Tailspin, and that's the kind of guy he always struck me as, is he wasn't completely maniacal or evil intent.
No, he does his whole thing. He's not sitting there every day wondering how he's going to, beat that pesky Baloo. Baloo's really almost inconsequential to him in some ways.
Absolutely. And I think that'd be kind of a refreshing villain to have in the Duckburg and the DuckTales universe. But that's personally what I want. As far as everything else goes, I mean, as far as like Tarantu and like a few other people in the comment section, and including you, Mark, you guys know a lot more about the comics of DuckTales and all that stuff more than I do. So I'm pretty much open to like whatever new callbacks we're going to get in season 3. I just hope we get a little bit more Darkwing Duck so we can finally get his own series off the ground. And I do believe that's being greenlit for Disney Plus.
As far as I know, the original series is just going to be on Disney Plus.
So at least that's going to happen.
More exposure for him.
Absolutely. I will say, kind of going back to our Moonvasion review, I did kind of feel sorry for him, but I'm also glad that was in his advantage that no one paid attention to Darkwing Duck. He was trying to be dramatic and heroic, but no one was really paying attention to him. But then Scrooge had the idea to like swap the costumes around because people were like, oh, that guy, he's running towards the mansion. And he's not important. We got Scrooge McDuck right here. So I thought that was kind of cute. But yeah, I want more Darkwing Duck. I want to see Drake Mallard and Launchpad's chemistry mesh more together. And you and I, we kind of talked about this off podcast, that the poster we got at Comic-Con showed a lot of characters that actually did not show up in season 2.
And that was, our mistake. It was technically for going into season 3. So I'm not sure how well that was conveyed.
I don't think it was well conveyed much at all, but still not complaining. We know that's how the characters are going to look. So I'm excited for the characters we didn't see in season 2 that appeared on the poster to hopefully make their appearance in season 3.
Yeah, I think, a lot of the hopes we've had, for what we assumed for season 2 would, are going to carry over. I'm still holding out for Pete.
And we still have characters from Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, and as you said before, Goof Troop. We saw Goofy, and yeah, if we can get Pete back in there too, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, because I feel like Pete wouldn't be restricted by licensing.
I don't think so at all. I mean, everyone loves him. I'm sure Jim Cummings will gladly return to voice him. And my question to you now, Mark, is, aside from what we already got in the teaser trailer, do you think there's any other obscure Disney afternoon or even like Disney film related characters who could make an appearance as like a support character in season 3 or even 4?
Not a big one, but there is actually a character that had a history of appearing, in the Disney afternoon, actually throughout all the shows, and actually could be considered a connected tissue if you wanted to believe those were all in the same universes. In fact, so much so that he even appeared in some of the intros. Can you guess who it is?
Who's that?
That'd be Tick-Tock the Croc from Peter Pan.
Oh.
He swallows Darkwing Duck in the Darkwing Duck intro. He's chasing Chip and Dale in the Chip and Dale intro. You could argue it's just, Disney reusing a design of a crocodile, but he's been around. Kind of surprised we haven't seen him yet.
There you go. Now, here's a random question. I know this is kind of obscure, and I want to hear what commenters think about this too. We get a lot of characters like that from previous cartoons and all that, the Baloo and all those films and stuff. What about the modern ones? Do you think we might get any cameos, most likely cameos rather than support characters, of any particular characters from, say, Zootopia?
I think Zootopia...
I mean, I'm going under 25%, but I'm just saying if there's any chance, like, above 25%, they could make an appearance.
I would say it's below 25. I would honestly think you'd have a better shot of, if we're going to play that route, I think you'd have a better shot with characters like from Robin Hood, quite honestly.
I'm saying modern.
I don't know. I don't quite see that happening.
No, that's totally fair. I mean, I'm not saying it will happen. I'd just be surprised if it does. Like, for me personally, like, I could almost see, like, the Mafia Mouse guy or something. Or even, like, the Weasel who tried to sell the bootleg movies in Zootopia. Like, characters like that. I'm not talking about, like, Judy or the Fox Nick. I'm talking about, like, maybe characters like, the Chief Ox guy played by Idris Elba.
That'd be cool. I'm not too sure because I feel like I don't know.
Again, I'm not saying it has to connect the universe. I'm just saying, like, kind of like just putting them in as like cameos or Easter eggs.
Oh, it'd be fun, but then the internet would go, it's all connected, and you're just going like, oh boy, here we go again.
But that's the other thing too. What if Duckburg and Gyro create something called the multiverse?
Oh, good God! Remember when cameos and Easter eggs could just be fun cameos and Easter eggs?
That was before the internet, Mark.
Those were simpler times.
But apart from that, like, were there any other predictions that you want from season 3 or even season 4 if we ever get there?
I don't know. Right now, short of characters we want to see and have been confirmed, I really think right now the we have sort of, free range, for where the story can go. I kind of have a feeling as season 3 might be darker.
You think so?
I have a strong feeling.
I personally hope so, because I kind of like it when series start strong and encapsulating for like family members, but as seasons go on, they kind of grow up with their audiences.
Yeah, we sort of saw that with even something like Avatar.
Yeah, no, Avatar did that. And I know technically this is not a TV show, it's a series of films. The Harry Potter movies technically did that too.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get into more like higher stakes or more emotional moments as the series goes on. And I'm not going to forget this too, because we were talking about characters we saw in the poster that didn't make it into the final thing, or we seen art of them, didn't make it into season 2. Hopefully we'll get Daisy Duck soon too.
I'm looking forward to that one, because that between Donald, being gone and, a whole invasion of Earth, she's going to be pretty pissed at him.
Oh, that she will. That she will. Well, I think that's going to wrap up on our major season 2 and the Moonvasion discussion.
Yeah, no, at least as of right now, it seems like we're on track to have season 3 premiere still within 2019. So maybe November or even December.
And with Disney Plus coming around the corner, like I'm definitely going to be signing up for that so I can like keep up with DuckTales. And I think there's probably a few other shows that are going to premiere on there that we definitely want to keep our eye on, don't we, Mark?
Oh, yeah, totally. And, there's we really have to see how it affects the release schedule for this stuff, and if it'll be, same day as a TV premiere or what have you.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap up on this, the method of how we had to review it, I will say I really hope that they go back to doing the weekly release thing rather than releasing it every morning at 7 a.m. Because I'll be honest with you folks, if you're still listening this far, my method of capturing our podcast voices and Mark being away, having to create like a new audio channel just to compile together, put into like After Effects or Premiere to like put the video together and make it look pretty good, and to cut out like lulls and bad takes and all that. It takes some time. And when you got to do this like 4 or 5 days in a row, it's pretty exhausting. But I do my best to try to get it out there as I can. So hopefully when season 3 premieres on Disney Plus, is it still going to be on Disney XD?
It should be, yes.
But I'm hoping Disney Plus will have it be released the same day it premieres on Disney XD. Although saying that now, they might continue doing this method.
They might.
So, ouch. But hey, I think that'll do it for this episode. There was a lot more comments to go through for sure, but unfortunately we don't have time to go through all of them. But hey folks, I want to thank you all for sticking around so long for season 2 and leaving your personal thoughts, your interests, and your dislikes on whatever the episode was talking about. And so as for this discussion, we would love to hear from you guys. What were some of your favorite moments from season 2? What are some things you're looking forward to that could happen in season 3, or maybe even beyond that? Really, anything at all. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.
Please do. We all love hearing from you guys.
We love the engagement. We love the discussions.
Give us your theories. Give it to us now. What are you waiting for? This is a stick-up. This is an internet stick-up.
Oh no, don't do that.
Put the comments in the bag.
You're a regular beagle boy, man.
Yeah.
But seriously, looking through the comments now, there's like so many different theories and like points that I never thought of that come up, and I love that. But as far as that goes, folks, I think that will do it for our DuckTales review. We got more stuff coming up ahead. It might just be me, but I'll try to get in Mark as soon as I can, if he's available, of course.
Or some other fun characters.
Because up next, for us, or at least for me, is Disenchantment Season 2.
Woohoo!
So later this week, I'm going to try to do a Season 1 recap, because the previous channel I was on, we did do a Season 1 overall review of that. And I figure since most of you probably don't know where that channel is or care to look for it, I was thinking of just doing a quick recap of like, what was my overall thoughts on Season 1 of Disenchantment? Did any of my thoughts change after seeing it for a second time? Prepping me in time for Season 2's release, which I believe is September 20th, according to social media.
Yep. Netflix is tricky with some of those drop dates, though.
It is very tricky. And by the way, folks, before we go to, my handle is @MJSella. Follow me on Twitter, and if there's any shows or whatever premiering or anything like that, please tag me on Twitter to notify me, because I try to follow social media on Twitter sometimes, but a lot of that news feed and junk gets lost. So if you know any shows that might be fun for us to watch and talk about or review, tag me there on my Twitter. That's probably the best way to do it.
All about that engagement, folks.
Exactly. And if you want to bother Mark on Twitter, his Twitter handle is I'm not on Twitter. Why are you asking me? Get away from me. God damn it. I hate you.
All one word, lowercase, in bold italic hieroglyphs.
Try doing that if you can. I'm just kidding. But no, tag me. Let me know any shows. I got Disenchantment coming up this Friday. And I believe at the end of this month, I want to do a season 2 review for Carmen Sandiego. And so far, Mark, I think he can back me up on this or confirm this with me. We haven't got any word on whether or not these will be weekly releases or binge releases.
As far as I know, we have no word on that.
I hope it's the former, where it's weekly, because it's easier for me to do, but we'll see. Either way, I'm going to get a review out, so stick around.
Yep, fun times to be had. And that's all before Halloween time, when it gets spooky here.
Oh, and speaking of Halloween, folks, thanks for reminding me, Mark. I think I have something special in plan for that, but we'll see. I don't want to say too much now because I got to work on it first. But there's a lot more fun to happen in October, and I think I'm looking forward to it.
Ooh, will it be a trick or a treat? You'll have to come back to find out.
I want to thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Ring that bell to be notified when new videos drop. That's very important, Mark. Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I'm allergic to bells.
Oh, but you gotta ring it anyway, because that's how YouTube works now. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed our review. And don't forget, you can support me by going to my Patreon at patreon.com/Matt Sella. Consider donating as low as $1 a month. Will help go towards my art, podcast, animation, and content made just for you. Links in the description below. And I think that about wraps it up, Mark.
Sounds good to me. Take us home, Captain.
Well, you gotta take yourself home first so we can finally do a podcast in person.
This is true.
This is Matt Sella.
This is Mark.
And I want to thank you all for tuning in.